Hey. Okay, I'm sorry I didn't do a shear last week. I had a crazy week. I started a school, and crazy thing happened when I was supposed to go get the girls from the airport last Wednesday. I couldn't find my phone. And to make a long story short, I went to the airport without a phone, and I had all the contacts of all the girls in it and all my data, and I'm working on a school and I have everything in my phone. And then when I found my phone, finally at the end of the day, after a completely crazy, disoriented day, I found my phone. The password had been tampered with, and so I wasn't able to access my phone, and I couldn't open it. I couldn't use it. So I went and bought a new phone, but all my data was not backed up. So I had a new phone with no data. I could get to my contacts, most of them. A lot of them were lost, but most of them I could get to. And like the last few WhatsApps. But that's it. It was crazy. It's been crazy. And I'm running a trip in a week and a half. Another trip, a women's reconnection trip. So I have all this data. My whole life is in my phone, basically. So it was an incredible lesson. And Hashem's sense of humor is always like mind-boggling. But on Thursday, when I was just buying my new phone, I'd lost all my data. There was just no way I could have the Yeshiva Das, Serenity, to be able to just do another shir. But this week, Baruch Hashem, I'm okay. I was able to get back into my phone. Yes, I cracked the password. And I am back in. So, anyway, this week's Parsha is Vayera, and we're getting to know Avraham Avinu, who is a chesed, ish chesed. And we see at the beginning of this week's Parsha that he is recovering from his Brit Milah, from his circumcision, and he is just standing outside the tent. Kechom hayom, it says it was a boiling hot day, and he's sitting at the entrance to his tent, and he's looking for guests. I mean, can you imagine somebody who after surgery, 3 days after surgery, on the most painful day, is just like looking around for guests? I don't know about you, but I've had some C-sections, I've had some surgeries in my life, and I'm a pretty outgoing person, but I want nothing to do with people 3 days after surgery. No. Okay, do not come visit me 3 days after surgery, even like a week after surgery. I like to get back to myself, to a place where I feel like I'm a little bit more in control, and then I am able to have people around me. I don't appreciate it. So why am I saying this? Because I think Avraham is a person who thrives on people. He's so other-centered, so outgoing, so loving of people, of life, of everything, that this is a chesed. This is what chesed, the epitome of chesed is a person who's so outgoing that they derive energy. They thrive on being with other people and just, being with them, being in the company of other people. So it's just an amazing thing to learn about him. So the Netzivot Shalom talks about something which I actually find very relevant, and it resonates with me these days when I am focusing on my school that I opened, which, it's one thing, and on this trip that I'm doing. And I'm just so overwhelmed with so many things and problems. But at the same time, well, I'll tell you what I mean. So Nesiv Shalom says that Avraham was told by Hashem right before he was commanded to circumcise himself. It says, Hitalech lefanai v'heyeh tamim. Hashem told him, walk before me and be whole, be tamim, be complete, be, I don't even know the exact word. I think wholesome is a good word, wholesome. So what does that mean, to be whole and to be complete? And he really was saying that once you get this bris, once you get this circumcision, you're going to have a relationship with me, you're going to be complete. And so Maharal, he brings the Maharal, who says that you have to be complete in 3 areas. Every single person, and I think men really can only reach this if there's a certain taming in the area of a circumcision, okay? And we won't go too much into detail. I don't know who's listening to this little shiur here. But for women and for everybody, really, we have to reach completion in 3 areas. Shalem im atzmo. One has to be whole with himself, and I'll explain what that means. Shalem im bor'o, okay, which means whole with your creator, or completion with your creator, and shalem im chaverav, and whole with others, with other people. And the reason why I think it's connected to my school and to my trip is that I really have this theme going through a lot of the things that I am running in my life. With my trip, I like to focus on these three areas. We need to level up these three relationships. And even my vision for the seminary, which I opened up, a few days ago, and I've been really talking to people a lot about this vision that we need to excel or level up our relationships with God, with ourselves, and with others. And really, I think it starts with ourselves. And Netivat Shalom really says how with Avraham, he reached a level of such completion, such wholeness, I think it's called serenity. It's interesting. I ran a trip once for a group of women who came, and they were not religious. And I asked them at the beginning, usually I have like a mix of religious and non-religious. This group was primarily non-religious. And I asked them at the beginning something about what they really feel is their most important drive in life. Like, what are they dying for? What do they really feel that they're living for? What do they want more than anything else? And I kind of thought that they would say they're looking for happiness or pleasure or meaning or fulfillment even, And they said they were looking for serenity, one after the other. There were like 15 women, and they pretty much all said serenity, calm. And I don't know, I was a little bothered by that because I thought, what? Like, that sounds so dead. That's like, you just want to be calm? That's really what you're looking for? But now I'm thinking that maybe this is what they mean. They mean a certain level of wholeness, completion, to the point where there's not a lot of frantic energy going on, looking for something that you don't have. And you feel complete with yourself. You feel like you're connected with your own inner neshama, like with that little voice inside of you that gives you clarity, that gives you an understanding. And that is serenity. That's a good serenity because that really comes after a lot of hard work of connecting with your soul and connecting with Hashem and really feeling so connected that you're clear, you're good. Things can happen and they just kind of like roll by you, or you can just like roll with the punches. You can juggle things. Like, people are saying to me, like, how are you doing all this? How are you doing all this? This is crazy. You're crazy. You're nuts. How can you be running a trip and opening a school? Believe me, I am not a calm person. I'm not. You should have seen me with that day with the phone. You should have seen me. Like, it was not a pretty sight. Believe me. But like for my trip, I'm working with my niece who's like in her late 20s, maybe she's 30 already. I don't think so. She's like late 20s. And she said, Dina, you're so calm. You are so calm. I have so much to learn from you. And I'm like, honey, I am not calm. I am not calm. But I think I know what she means. And I think this is true about people who reach my age. And a lot of people, if they are connected to Hashem, is that they reach a level where they say to themselves, you know what? This is all part of a big picture. Hashem is here. Hashem loves me. I am with Hashem. I know I'm going crazy right now, but Hashem wants me to learn something from this. And it's not that I'm calm, but I do have an inner equilibrium. I think maybe that's it. An equilibrium, an equanimity, a sense of this is all for a meaningful purpose. I'm going to get out of this. Hashem loves me. Hashem only wants the best from me. And only good will come from this situation, It's going to be okay. So, and especially after these 2 years in Israel, I think I am able also to focus on what is most important, what is a priority, and what's like not really worth going crazy about. And I do know that in the end, things are going to fall into place because there is a big picture and I have that connection to Hashem. And I can keep davening and I can even be screaming at Hashem, believe me. And I think everybody, understands what I'm saying here, that as long as you have that relationship, you can be mad and you can be stressed and you can be frustrated. But if you can always come back to that relationship with Hashem where it's all for a good reason and it's all purposeful, like what I say every day to myself, every day in the mirror, really, is anything Hashem wants me to do, I can do. Not anything I set my mind to do, I can do. I know that's not true. I sure wanted my phone that day and I really wanted that to work out. But if Hashem wants me to do something, wants me to open the school, wants me to pick up those kids from the airport, I can do it. I can do it, even if I don't have a phone. So so that is like the level that we're reaching. And he says, Netivat Shalom, that Avraham reached that level. And you could see that he reached that level because when he went at the end of the Parsha to Akedas Yitzchak, he was told by Hashem, take this kid that was born to you at the age of 100 and just like bring him up as a sacrifice. Now, that's crazy, okay? He could have said to him, and this is insane what Netivat Shalom says. He says, the main test here was not even so much take your kid and sacrifice him. That would have been one kind of test, which is difficult, but we see parents these days send their kids to the army, and that is kind of sacrificing your kid. It is, okay? You never know. That kid might not come back. A lot of people sacrifice their kids this year, or their husbands, So it's possible to do that. But this is what Netivat Shalom said that Avraham Avinu reached. The level that he reached is that Hashem actually said to him, Kach na, at the end of the Parsha, please take your son and walk to one of those mountains and bring him up as a sacrifice to me. Please. And he meant by that, by saying, please, you don't have to do this. This is not a commandment. This is not something that if you don't do, you're going to be an evil person. You can, if you want, just do something that I will take nachas from, Hashem says. If you want, kachna. If you want to do what I want, then you should take your son. But if you don't, it's fine. I'm going to be totally okay with you. You're going to be a tzaddik. You're still going to have all your high spiritual levels. You're not going to be lowered in any way. So just, if you want. And Avraham was able to take that semi-commandment, that request on the part of Hashem, and because he loved Hashem so much, and because he felt such an affinity to Hashem, and he was like so natural to just do what Hashem wanted, he had no issues with it, no confusion, no distraction, no anger, no freaking out. He just got up in the morning and he saddled his horse and he took his helpers and he took Yitzchak and they walked. And obviously in the end, he did not sacrifice him. And I think deep in the recesses of his mind, Avraham kind of felt that Hashem was not going to really end up doing this. But he really intended to do exactly what Hashem wanted. It's more like he said, whatever Hashem wants me to do, I can do. And that's it. And I'm walking with Hashem and I'm going to be whole. And that's the level of serenity that I think we should all be focusing on. We should strive for. We should aspire to. And I'll read to you what he says in the end. That's the shalem im atzmo also. And I think once you're whole with yourself, that you really reach that level, that you know your neshama, you know your inner soul, you know that inner feeling of like, it's a little bit of God in you that will tell you if this makes sense, if this doesn't make sense. And things become clear and you just feel that calm, close connection to Hashem and this feeling of like, it's all good, it's all going to work out in the end, and I can do this. So he says at the end that this should be our request, our tefillah, our prayer to Hashem every day. So just in case you wanted to know what your prayer should be to Hashem every day, here we go. Okay, I'm going to read this. That she'afilu evarav shel Avraham Avinu nimshechu lekayem ritzon bor'am. That Abraham's limbs were just drawn to do what Hashem wanted him to do. And this is what we should daven for. Hitalech lefanai v'heyet tamim sheyagia lechach, that we should reach that level. Shekol megamato, our whole entire purpose in life, la'asot rak et ritzon haboret, just to do what Hashem wants us to do. Asher yitav be'einei Hashem, only that which Hashem wants us to do. So maybe I should say whatever Hashem wants me to do, I can do and I want to do, or I aspire to want to do. Sometimes it's really uncomfortable and the plan really sucks and I don't like this plan at all and I really need my control and I want to do things differently and I wish things were different. But if you do work on this feeling that, I'm aspiring, hitalech lefanai v'heyet tamim. My aspiration is to walk before Hashem, in front of Hashem, with Hashem, and to be whole, to be okay with everything that happens, and to be always like reaching that dynamic of like, what does Hashem really want me to do? And reaching inward and saying, you know what? I want to do that too. That's what my neshama is telling me to do. And then you're also shalem im chaverav. You're also going to be complete and whole with others, with your friends, with your relationships. Have a good Shabbos.